The RNLI is a unique organisation in as much as it's a charity, but it's a charity that runs an emergency service. It's been doing it for 200 years because this year is the 200th anniversary.
200 years of the RNLI is an amazing age for a charity, and our ethos remains the same.
It was established originally in 1824 by a gentleman called Sir William Hillary, who lived in the Isle of Man. He witnessed a lot of shipwrecks because that's a pretty violent part of the northern part of the Irish Sea. So there were a lot of ships used to get wrecked off the Isle of Man, and he felt we should do something about it, or he should do something about it. And he lobbied to form an organisation to create a volunteer force of rescue, or rescue boats basically. He lobbied members of Parliament, got support for it, and it was actually founded in 1824 on the 4th of March.
To survive as a charity for 200 years means we're doing something right, and the ethos of 200 years ago and Sir William Hillary hasn't changed. We're still here to save lives at sea, and equally now save lives on the river or lakes or lochs.
It's the primary service that the Coast Guard can call on when somebody needs rescuing at sea. And over that 200 years, they've saved over 142,000 lives.
The RNLI has a set of heritage collection of works and souvenirs, all dating back to when we started in 1824.
People want to know the history of how things started and how things used to be, and how they differ from how they are now.
There is sort of a visual representation here of how lifeboat design has developed over 200 years basically, from open pulling and sailing boats to one with a sail that we have here on my left, to the early ones with motors in, really up to pretty modern exhibits here representing the fleet as it almost is today.
Historic boats in the collection have to meet a certain criteria, and they have to be medal winning of some kind or unique to the RNLI.
We're standing next to Grace Darling, which is a Liverpool class lifeboat. To me, she's what I regard as the archetypal historic lifeboat from the 1950s, the immediate post-war era. She's actually, I think she's quite a beautiful boat as well, with a lovely mahogany wood finish. But she represents an era of lifeboats, say from the 1950s and early 60s. She was originally stationed at Northumberland, which is actually now known as Sea Houses, up on the northeast coast, where she served for a number of years, and then went to Southern Ireland to a station called Youghal, until she came out of service and went into Museum Keep. She's a proud lifeboat, medal-winning lifeboat, so she deserves her place here in the Historic Lifeboat Collection.
The one behind me, Olive Laura Deer, was brought in at the end of her life, which was only 10 years, but on the Thames the boats are used 24/7. We have to launch within 3 minutes, so they're constantly on the water. So their lifespan and training every day with the RNLI, they take a lot of work and live a hard life. So when she came here, I came with her.
In the museum here we clean the boats, which takes quite a lot every time because of the environment.
The other work is on the restoration side, which is trying to keep the boats looking respectable.
The current project we're working on is this one, which is St Cubby, which is a 52-foot Barnet lifeboat.
As we work through the collection slowly, it's a longish job, but we rub them down and we strip them where we have to, and then we repaint them, and that's where Brewers comes in, of course.
We got approached about 3 years ago from the RNLI. He must have asked us to support them with regard to materials for the boats down at the museum here in Chatham. And we came down and were just absolutely blown away. It's the amount of boats. This has got more boats, RNLI, than any other museum, and the work that was being done on them previously needed to be slightly improved on, and they wanted our support. And just to be asked by the RNLI to support them in that way was just such a prestigious, amazing thing to do.
We have a strict criteria with our heritage collection in that they have to match. We're not allowed to update, we maintain and keep as close to the heritage as we can, if not as exact as possible. And brewers have allowed us to do that.
From the sanding side down to the prep for fillers and primers, up to the top coats, using things waterborne products mostly, especially the likes of these Inzerall coat, because these boats are previously painted with marine coatings and they're not going to see the sea anymore. They don't need a marine coating with a high VOC. So changing them over to a waterborne product was perfect, and the colour range, etc., that was available, and all the finishes between matte, gloss and satin means that anything's possible. So as you can see from the boats behind us and the other boats, the colour range and finishes are all differential to the boats.
It's incredibly important for companies like Brewers to support us. For the Heritage Collection, originally, matching the paints is incredibly hard, and Brewers have enabled us to do that by supplying the paint, and we're able to maintain the colours that they were originally.
You know, if you look at even the museum, these are people that give up their time to support and sponsor, raising money to keep the RNLI going, to save people. I think it's just an incredible thing to do. From a personal level, I feel like I'm doing the minimalist part of it, but it's just so nice to be involved in, even in such a small way. I'm absolutely proud and honoured. And the great thing is, working for Brewers, I get to do things like this with charities, and yeah, it's very, very emotionally rewarding.
Places like this, we hope, will, certainly on the younger people, the message sort of filters through, so by the time they get a bit older and they wanting to go to sea or something like that, they will know what to do, what not to do.
It provides a unique situation whereby they're able to see the boats out of the water, the evolution. Lots of the volunteers now have knowledge of the old boats, down to me with a new one, with Olive, even though she's an older boat now. Spirit of Lowestoft, they're able to get on board, and that is not the case a lot of the time. Being able to get on board, Spirit of Lowestoft literally came out of the relief fleet complete. So her charts, even to the pencil on the desk, was left. And so they're able to experience what it's like being on a lifeboat, albeit it's not moving, but it enables them to get an idea of what the crews are experiencing and what life is like on board.
I think the fact that the RNLI has been 200 years old at the same time as Brewers, we celebrate our 120-year anniversary this year, it's just perfect in keeping. If we can get the message out there about this museum, and the amount of volunteers is just incredible. Honestly, walking into the tea room and just meeting, not even all of them, but what they define as a handful, there's about 30 people in there. But yeah, just to try and promote the museum, because it relies on donations and visitors, and the more people know that it's here, the better.
It's an expensive organisation. It costs somewhere, I think, about £170 million a year to run. All of that has to be raised from voluntary sources, so it is a struggle to keep raising that amount of money from voluntary sources. So far it's managed, it's been successful, but it depends on the public to ensure it can keep going for the foreseeable future and beyond.